LA this week.
It is billed as the largest contract in LA City history as local leaders break ground on the upcoming People Mover at LAX, expected to alleviate traffic around the airport. I'm Gil Reyes with a story next.
Voices lifting up together in Skid Row with the Urban Voices Project. We'll have more on that coming up.
In reaction to the LAX Crenshaw line, a project called Destination Crenshaw aims to beautify this part of South LA with artwork celebrating African American culture. I'm Amy Liu on historic Crenshaw Boulevard, and that's coming up.
Hey everyone, I'm Yana Kay. Here's what's happening in LA this week. When you hear PTSD, you probably think of veterans psychologically scarred by memories of war. But did you know similar trauma is being felt by LA's kids, especially those living in high-crime areas? Gil Reyes sat down with LA City Attorney Mike Feuer to talk solutions.
Every kid should have the ability to develop to the best of their biological potential. And none of us should ever just be sitting idly by watching while some kid's future is imperiled.
Los Angeles City Attorney Mike Feuer referring to symptoms similar to post-traumatic stress disorder in LA's children. Yes, violent crime overall is down, but you might not think so near Dimely High School in South Los Angeles. 105 people killed within a mile of the campus over the past 5 years, according to the LA Times. And around Hawkins High School, 72 people killed nearby over the same period. Stanford University researchers say this could have drastic effects on children's brain development.
The aspect of brains that grapples with stress gets overstimulated. And when that overstimulation happens, there's a chemical imbalance that occurs. And there's abnormal neurological development that occurs.
Even if the kids aren't injured, aren't shot at, it leaves an imprint in them that could limit their learning, limit their relationships. I sat down with the city attorney to talk about his new pilot program in Watts. Immediately after reports of shots being fired, LAPD, community advocates, and therapists with the nonprofit group the Children's Institute arrive on scene. They look for kids and offer free, ongoing therapy to children who may have heard or seen something within 24 hours.
We think if we can intervene with these kids in a timely way, we can interrupt what otherwise would be a process that would erode their brain development forever. Now, it's early. We haven't developed metrics by which to assess our efficacy. It's only a few months old. But this is on the right track. And I'm just communicating over the weekend with Laura Drino, a great member of my team who runs this project. Already we're looking at expanding it dramatically throughout the entire Southeast Division to many of the areas around the schools you just mentioned.
Meantime, City Attorney Feuer recently convened a blue ribbon panel on improving school campus safety. 33 recommendations have been made. He hopes the LA School Board will implement them. A new project in South Los Angeles hopes to honor the rich diversity of African Americans, aiming to put a cultural stamp on the neighborhood of Crenshaw. Amy Liu has more.
I'm here on historic Crenshaw Boulevard, where the project Destination Crenshaw will start on 48th Street and span 1.3 miles to 60th Street. Parks, trees, and artwork celebrating African American culture will beautify this part of South LA.
Tafari Bain was born and raised in the neighborhood, having graduated from Crenshaw High School. He says he wants to raise his family in the area.
I know that, as I get older here, I want to be able to have my kids come down to Crenshaw and hang out and feel welcome here, feel that in public space, their identity is honored and recognized.
Bain served as a community activist in South LA and is now a member of the project's advisory council.
The Destination Crenshaw Community Advisory Council is a board or a body made up of civic leaders, community leaders, and art leaders from across Los Angeles, all representing various aspects of the ways that the Destination Crenshaw project will impact the community or neighborhood.
The project is a reaction to the LAX Crenshaw Metro line being constructed at street level down Crenshaw Boulevard.
So the history is that when you split a community with a big construction project like that, you divide the community, you take away a lot of the cohesiveness.
Bringing back some of that cohesiveness is a through line across 4 themes that act as nodes connecting each other. First comes the improvisation node, then the first and dream nodes, and finally the togetherness node ties the community together.
So the experience that we hope to create here along Destination Crenshaw is a dynamic experience. So from three-dimensional sculpture pieces to two-dimensional murals, but also light installations, temporary exhibits. If you think about this 1.3-mile existence, we're going to use the entire streetscape as a canvas, from benches to crosswalks.
The art will incorporate Afrofuturism, street art, and assemblage, which is a form of three-dimensional visual art made of objects. Earl says both established and emerging artists who have a connection to the neighborhood were selected.
These people who are going to participate as artists, the stories that we tell are stories that I've lived, people that I know right here in the community in which I reside in.
Well, the Crenshaw community really has been, really for the last few generations, the heart of the Black community in Los Angeles.
It's kind of like, you know, it takes a village, and villages have to have spaces for all of its villagers. And I think the opportunity to make, you know, the Crenshaw corridor kind of that Black community space in that way will just help to, you know, tell more of the Los Angeles story.
The project also plans to add more than 800 trees, making up 10 acres of new landscaping. Harris Dawson says Metro is making a significant investment along Crenshaw Boulevard with trees and landscaping, while the private sector has contributed about $100 million to the art portion of the project. He believes Destination Crenshaw will help combat gentrification in the neighborhood.
We think that gentrification comes in really three forms. One of them is push out, one of them is the inability to people to move in, and the third one is cultural erasure. We think Destination Crenshaw makes cultural erasure completely impossible because we'll brand this district so strongly, everyone around the world will know that this is the African American community in Los Angeles, the way people know that about Harlem in New York.
The project aims to have an opening day in 2020, but Earl says the art creates a foundation that will influence generations to come.
A foundation which those who come after us will be able to look back and to learn from and to seek inspiration.
Pickups and drop-offs at LAX will never be the same. Construction begins on a new way to avoid gridlock at LA's busiest airport. Gil Reyes explains.
Well, here we are, 11 a.m.-ish on a weekday morning, and as you can see, traffic is backed up around the terminal area at LAX. What did I expect? It's been like this for years, but local leaders say there is a better way. LAX's upcoming People Mover. Check it out.
Now this is more like it. Instead of driving, relaxing on board an elevated skyway with scenic views taking you all the way to the airport's terminals. It's coming, LAX's automated People Mover.
I think traffic will encourage people to take this. Today, you can arrive at the airport and it takes more than a half hour just to get through that horseshoe. But now you can drop somebody off 2 blocks away from the airport and they hop on the line, every 2 minutes it runs, and they're already at the terminals quicker than today in a car.
LA Mayor Eric Garcetti and other local leaders break ground on the 2.2-mile fully automated train. It will connect to the upcoming Crenshaw LAX rail line, centralized rent-a-car services, as well as pickup and drop-off sites outside LAX. And inside the airport, the People Mover is expected to make transfers between terminals easier.
We are going to create, and this is the line, a world-class airport that is a first-class neighbor.
Yeah, there you go.
Westside Councilman Mike Bonin hopes its usage will also reduce traffic in surrounding neighborhoods. The group Linksys will build the People Mover for $5 billion, a good portion of that set aside for minority, women-owned, and veteran-owned businesses.
What we will have is a project labor agreement. We'll have local worker hire. We'll have small business development, and this is how you build it correctly.
And while they're building, be patient.
Construction is going to have some impacts. We're going to reduce lanes and we're going to have some road closures. So our goal is to make sure that everyone is informed and that there are no surprises during construction. We are going to have real-time information that's distributed to the public and to our passengers. I guarantee that it's going to be well worth the wait and the pain.
Expected completion date 2023, maybe even sooner.
Construction alone is expected to create 2,000 new jobs. It's a convention that seeks to grow and strengthen the number of deaf and hard of hearing entrepreneurs in art, entertainment, and other industries through connections and partnerships. The Deaf Entrepreneurship Network Convention is a one-stop shop for all sorts of opportunities available in both ASL and English. Take a look.
Today we're at the Deaf Entrepreneurship Network Conference, which is an amazing collection of folks from across the United States who are working as deaf entrepreneurs in fashion and technology and all kinds of startups, and they're really coming together to learn how to support each other.
So the purpose of the Deaf Entrepreneurs Network is to give them a place to exchange knowledge, come together and network all in one place. So far, we've seen some success stories from our first conference.
To be able to come to this conference, the Deaf Entrepreneurship Network Conference, again for a second time, I could see how it's grown, and I could see from before having other deaf business owners at that conference and seeing the proof that that conference has benefited them at this conference is really a positive thing for me.
So if you need help starting your business, getting support for your business, finding an incubator, we're hiring and we're buying. I'm just really glad that the city is helping to connect with all of our Angelinos and being able to make sure that everybody feels included and being able to do business with the city and be supported by the city.
For people who are hearing and in the general public community, you might want to be included in DEN because it's a great way to partner with deaf and hard of hearing business owners, and I look forward to developing a partnership in the future.
Turning now to a screenwriting workshop for girls that mentors young ladies and inspires them to follow their dreams.
So we're here doing a screenwriting workshop surrounded by Oscar. This is our 18th annual character and dialogue workshop, which is amazing to me. It's gone by so fast. We do a different workshop every month. Young people need that kind of inspiration beyond school. They need people that are not their family. We have mentors that work with our young people to inspire them and give them a whole different view on what life could be for them.
It's very much finding each girl and helping her find her unique and individual voice.
I write a little bit of science fiction, a little bit of slice of life, a little bit of crime-related things. I love crime.
They just get better at writing and better at expressing themselves and better at tapping into who they are, no matter what career they choose.
This workshop is special to me because screenwriting is what I would like to do with my life, and in the future I'd like to be a professional screenwriter.
When you see all these girls come here today, learning, growing, coming out of their shell, asking questions, getting excited about writing, for me, there's no better day than a day like today.
The Urban Voices Project is changing lives on Skid Row through the joy of singing. Anna Marcos pays a visit to one of its neighborhood sing events.
A little Nina Simone song about feeling good never hurt anybody. In fact, the music is helping many here to heal, as the Urban Voices Project holds its weekly neighborhood sing at the Wesley Health Center on Skid Row.
It gave me goosebumps and butterflies in somewhere in my stomach or my whole esophagus.
It lets out the freedom for you to be yourself. You can be yourself that way singing because it comes from you.
There's mindfulness and conscious breathing and singing warm-ups that use vibration and music meditation. Music is sometimes the main savior for so many people that are here on the streets, especially in Skid Row.
Leof Sofer heads the group, which he, a musician, runs with the help of music therapist Kate Richards-Geller and Christopher Mack, who works at the health center.
For 2 years, when I first started down here in 2003, I would cry every day, just because of the condition of the people and see how the people were hurting. And so it touched me, and I cried every day for 2 years. And then I stopped crying. And when I stopped crying, I started singing. And so I would sing every day, and it made me feel better.
It was Mac and Sofer who started the Urban Voices Project 6 years ago with funds from the Colburn School of Music. 8 weeks later, the money and the program went away, but they wanted to keep it going.
And there was days when we'd show up and nobody's in the room, and we'd do the same thing, look at each other. If you show up next week, I'll show up next week. This was my co-founder, Christopher Mack, and I pulling this out from the bottoms of our hearts and our own wallets.
6 years later, the program has continued to grow and is now training more teachers.
And I want us to leave it with a bang, right? When I saw the choir perform at this festival, I saw right away the joy, the hope, the resilience, and the way that the music brought them all together.
I feel better already. This stuff works.
Why don't you let it be? It's really rough out on the streets, and the community that we build gives people a sense of belonging.
Some of the singers have gone on to join the group's performance ensemble, which performs throughout LA. The singers are even changing perspectives on Skid Row. Instead of reaching out for help, they're reaching out to help others with joy and music.
You can find healing, you can find wellness, you can find utter joy and love.
Sometimes the people here even sing to each other.
It will never be that moment again. The emotion and how everybody was just, everybody was in unison, and it was just beautiful. Everything was just perfect.
I've always had trouble looking at people in the eyes. That's why that was moving to me, looking into someone else's eyes, and then also singing to someone else. Like, I'm letting you inside.
The Urban Voices Project, making people feel better, one voice at a time.
The Urban Voices Project is expanding to other places like MLK Hospital in South LA, the Central Library, and Venice. For more information, visit urbanvoicesproject.org. Want to be an engineer? How about one for the city of Los Angeles? An engineering contest luring some of LA's best and brightest young people aims to build a bridge to their future careers. Gil Reyes has more.
Just how much pressure can these bridges and the kids who've built them withstand? We're about to find out in this engineering competition with school pride and a trip to the finals at stake. For several weeks, students toiled after school and on weekends to make their miniature wooden bridges as shatterproof as possible. All for this, LA's 18th annual Bridge Building Contest. It's sponsored by the city's Bureau of Engineering.
Well, the main category is the bridge's efficiency. That's how much weight it's able to hold over how much the bridge weighs. And that determines who will go to the international contest.
Tough break for most of the kids. 5 LA high schools are competing, but only the first and second place teams advance to the finals in Baltimore. No matter who wins, LA City hopes to come out on top.
This is exactly what we want to do, get an open and early start for engineers to look into this career as their goal, as their major, as their future, and then come back to the city of LA and work for the city of LA as public servants, but in an engineer capacity.
I decided to stick with it because I know that it'll help me decide what I want to do, and I know since engineering's on my options of career that I would want to pursue.
Student Angelica Rios should know the city is hiring more women and people of color.
The trend has been changing pretty good. So lately we have hired more than 50% of the engineers who are female. So this is a great start for us.
Congratulations to first place winners Arleta High School. They are pumped to be headed to the finals in April.
I saw the results up there. I just lost it.
A little celebration with friends, and then it's off to the international competition and an all-expenses-paid trip to Maryland. Hopefully LA can bring home the gold.
Congratulations to second-place team Los Angeles High School. They're also headed to the finals. The students were mentored by workers at the Bureau of Engineering to help create their projects. Get ready to get fit. New exercise equipment at the Green Meadows Recreation Center is giving residents a chance to get their hearts pumping while improving their overall health.
This has been a long time coming, and the community is really excited that today is the day that we get a chance to unveil the exercise equipment here at Green Meadows Recreation Center.
We're so excited to have this fitness center here for our community residents, both young and old, so they can stay fit and healthy.
Of course, it's going to be very useful, and I would love to invite everybody in the community, all the people that know this park, to come along and use this exercise equipment.
Come on down.
Come on down.
Join us.
Get your motor running at a European car show. Enjoy live bands and food trucks at the annual Off Sunset Festival. And get your weekend started with a classic disco vibe. All this and things to do. The 8th annual European Car Show returns to the Miracle Mile with #Euro19. This one-day event for car enthusiasts will feature European automobiles of all makes and models, old and new, from Audi to Volvo. Don't miss #Euro19 happening at the Peterson Automotive Museum on 6060 Wilshire Boulevard. The show starts at 9 a.m. on Sunday, March 31st. For tickets, visit eventbrite.com. It's costume fun with an LGBT twist at the 7th annual Off Sunset Festival. Come enjoy live bands, gourmet food trucks, specialty beers, and lots of leather gear at this premier LA Leather Street Fair. It's all happening Sunday, March 31st, beginning at noon. The festival is located at Sunset Junction on 4219 Santa Monica Boulevard. For details, visit offsunsetfestival.com. Get into the groove with the World 70 Party, one of LA's most popular dance events. Join guest DJ Selwyn Hines as he drops your favorite Afrobeat, salsa, reggae, classic disco, and more. It's all happening at World 70 for one night only, Friday, March 29th, beginning at 9 p.m. The party kicks off at the Library Bar in the Mayfair Hotel, located at 1256 West 7th Street. RSVP for your free tickets at eventbrite.com. And that's a look at some things to do. Prom season is an exciting time for many high school students, but for some students whose families are facing financial hardships, the costs can sometimes be more than they can afford. That's why the LA City Attorney's Office, along with the LAPD, have stepped in to help out.
My office, the City Attorney's Office, coordinated with LAPD to host a prom closet. All of the merchandise that we have here, it's mostly brand new. Some are gently used, and they're generously donated by various shops throughout the city. So what we really try to do is transform this community room into a boutique. They don't feel like these dresses, these suits are being given to them. They feel like they're shopping for an outfit like any other high schooler would. Before we started this project, we saw that there were similar projects throughout the country, but most of them really only served girls when the boys have a really great need as well. A lot of these kids, it's their first time wearing a suit, wearing a tie. You see these kids come in and they're so grateful for being able to participate in this,
I feel like every girl is just, you know, as soon as she hears prom, she like starts thinking of like the first dress she's gonna put on and like imagining in her head how it's gonna picture. Spending a lot of money on senior year is not really an option, so finding resources like this is really great.
This is a very expensive cost for at this time of year. A lot of kids forego their proms because they can't afford it, whether they can't buy a dress or can't buy a suit. And us being able to provide them that lightens the load for the parents and for the kids.
I'm a single mom, and so any help that I can get, it helps. So I'm appreciative of this whole program.
The important part is for a lot of these kids who grow up in communities where maybe there's a little bit of a distrust of law enforcement or they're not familiar with law enforcement, this helps them have positive interactions with police officers. They're coming to the station, they're interacting with them, they're teaching them how to tie ties, so you can imagine how this stays with them for years to come.
Police officers are supposed to, you know, protect the streets and everything, but like offering free resources for prom is just the extra mile that they go to help us and support us.
Watching kids come in, find a dress, it makes them so happy. Leaving just in tears that they were able to get that. So that's a really big, it pulls on your heartstrings. And for us to be able to bring that to the community, it's big.
That's it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more of LA This Week.